Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Devayet. Third Canto, 28th chapter, Sloka 32. Hasam Harer Avanat Akhila Loka Tibra
Hasam Harer Avanata Akhila Loka Tibra
Shoka Shushagara Vishoshanam Atyudharam
Shokashusagara Vishoshanam Atyudaram
Sammohanaya Rachitam Nijamayaya Yasya
Sammohanaya Rachitam Nijamaya Yasya
Bhrumandala Muni Krite Makaradvajasya
Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradvajasya.
Someone recite please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hasam Harer Avanata Akhila Tibra
Asam Hare Avana Akhila Loka Tibra
Shokashrusagara Vishoshanamatyudaram
Shoka Sushagara Visoshanamatyudharam
Sammohanaya Rachitam Nijamaya Yasya
Sammohanaya Rachitam Nijamaya Yasya
Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradvajasya.
Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradvajasya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can someone recite? Can someone recite, please? Hasam Harer Avanat Akhila Loka Tibra
Hasam Harer Avanata Akhila Tibra
Shoka Shushagara Visoshanam Atyudharam
Shokashrusagara Vishoshanam Atyudaram
Sammohanaya Rachitam Nijamaya Yasya
Sammohanaya Rachitam
Nijamaya
Nijamaya Yasya
Bhumandalam Munikrite Makaradvajasya
Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradvajasya.
Hare Krishna. Translation. A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Sri Hari, a smile which, for all those who bow to him, dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency, in order to charm the sex god for the good of the sages. So this is spoken by Lord Kapila to his mother Devahuti. Here Lord Kapila is explaining how to meditate dhyana on the form of the Lord. It's called Rupa Dhyana. But let's go with some background. I think since from last time where we left, where Lord Kapila is saying that the importance of taking shelter of sadhu. Then after that, Mother Devahuti asked Lord Kapila, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that what is this material world, and it feels very difficult for someone to attain liberation because a jiva identifies himself with the body and matter so much that how is it possible for him to be liberated? Then Lord Kapila explains what is the ingredient of this world? What is this matter? Where is it coming from? What is this Maya? So he explains that in unmanifest state, this material world is called Pradhan. Okay? When it gets manifested, it's called Prakriti. So right now, this is in manifest state. We are in a manifest state, of course. So it is called Prakriti. When it becomes unmanifest, it's called Pradhan, the sum total of material energy that enters into Mahavishnu when dissolution happens. Again, when the new creation happens, the Pradhan manifests into Prakriti. So there are, Lord Kapila explains all the elements that manifest from Pradhan. So there are 24 elements that get manifested. So one is gross elements, 5 gross elements, 5 subtle elements, 5 gross senses, 4 subtle senses, and 5 sense organs. Total 24 elements. But they don't mix because they don't have potency to mix. So they are on their standalone. So they don't have potency to mix. And the demigod, there are demigods for each one of them. Each of these elements, as a presiding demigod is there. So they cannot, since they cannot mix well, they just again enter back into the Virat Rupa. But still Virat Rupa doesn't get agitated. Ultimately, Super Soul, Vasudev himself enters into Virat Rupa and wakes the Virat Rupa. That's when the mixing of the elements happen. We already read that in the past, that how the demigods of all these elements, they pray to Krishna so that they can work together for the creation of the world, Visarga. So when that happens, then Vasudev, by the potency of Vasudev, who is Paramatma, who is actually Shirodakshai Vishnu of this world, okay, so of this universe, he wakes up the Virat Rupa and start constructing the material universe as we know it by mixing up of all the elements. So though everything is matter is inert. It doesn't have any potency on its own. So to mix all these elements, you still need spiritual energy. That is quite evident, right? From when we see when a person takes birth, how the body grows, from small embryo to fetus to again an infant, toddler. Then you see how it grows into young adult, then how it dwindles. Matter on its own doesn't interact, doesn't mix us up with, but by spiritual strength, it mixes up. By the potency of Atma and Paramatma, everything mixes up. So this whole cosmic manifestation is created by mixing up all these elements through the internal potency of Super Soul, Vasudev, Paramatma, or Shirodakshai Vishnu. In the same way, this body also mixes up with all the elements by the potency of the soul inside, Atma inside, along with Paramatma. When Atma and Paramatma leaves the body will just simply crash. It disintegrates. The energy disintegrates. They all disintegrate, means they all unmix. They all unmix and they go to their atomic state. Okay, so we can see that how by the potency of spirit, everything is building up And by the absence of spirit, everything collapses. In the same way, at the time of annihilation, Lord withdraws his potency. That's how the annihilation happens. So in this way, Lord Kapila explains to Mother Devavati that how all these elements are forming and everything. And 25th element is Kala. By the agitation of Kala, by the agitation of Kala and Gunas, all these elements are mixing up. So Kala is Lord himself. It's his own potency. And Gunas, which are again part of Prakriti. So when they agitate, all these elements mix up. And they work together for some purpose, for some time. And once the purpose is fulfilled, they disintegrate. The Atma moves out and they disintegrate. So that is a science of transmigration. That's how it happens. Prabhupada many times explains that life doesn't come from matter. Life comes from life. Okay, matter is just a supporting feature that helps life to exist in this cosmic manifestation. So moving on, then Lord Kapila explains that the 25th element is Kala, and 26th is Atma and Paramatma. Self, Atma and Paramatma. So for Atma to get liberation, it has to understand all these elements, how they interact. At the same time, it has to meditate on Paramatma. Okay? That's where start explaining that to get liberated. Actually, you need to do Ashtanga Yoga, or the best way is to do devotional service. So mind you, this is a Satya Yoga. This is the beginning of Satya Yoga, actually. The very beginning of Satya Yoga. And this is a second incarnation. So where Lord Kapila has come down. So in Satya Yoga, the main method to attain liberation is meditation, dhyana. In Treta Yoga, it is yajnas and homas. And in Dwapar Yoga, it is Acha Vigraha Seva, temple, deity worship, grand deity worship. In Kali Yuga, it is Sankirtana. So Lord Kapila is explaining mainly from the perspective of dhyana, but actually this is also applicable to a devotee, not just a yogi in Satya Yoga, but because bhakti includes everything. It includes jnana, dhyana, and Ashtanga Yoga. Everything is included, is automatically performed when someone does bhakti. So what happens in Ashtanga Yoga? Here actually, Lord Kapila explains Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti mixed with Ashtanga Yoga. It's not pure bhakti, or it is not just bhakti mixed with Ashtanga Yoga, but it's Ashtanga Yoga mixed with bhakti. Okay. So the importance of the goal of this is to realize Paramatma in the heart. Realize Paramatma in the heart and get mukti, to control the mind and attain liberation. Means become free of pains of this material world. So the Ashtanga Yoga has 8 limbs. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So there are 8 limbs are there, 8 steps. So a devotee also, if you see, even in Kali Yuga, if someone takes up to devotional service, pure devotional service, they follow these things. Not in the same order, but this is automatically included. When we do pure devotional service, this is done not as a main goal. It just happens circumstantially. It happens, But whereas in Satya Yoga, this is done as a main goal to control the mind. Whereas in devotional service, it happens to be circumstantial. The main goal is to serve Lord, to get Krishna Prem. So pure bhakti includes all the angas of everything. Like you can apply karma, you can apply jnana and dhyana. So yamas and niyamas in devotional service also we have this. We have 4 regulative principles, do's and don'ts, what should be done, what should not be done. And also asana and pranayama. It's very important to take care of the body by doing asanas and pranayamas, because this body belongs to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu declares that when Sanatana Goswami wants to commit suicide by going under the wheel of Ratya, Jagannath Rath, he wants to commit suicide, but someone saves him. But Mahaprabhu really gets upset. You cannot do that. This body doesn't belong to you to commit suicide. This body belongs to me, and you have to follow and execute my orders. So you have to go right away to Vrindavan and establish all the lost places of Radha Krishna's pastimes places and write books on pure devotional service and establish temples and teach to everybody about the science of devotional service, how to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So we have to take care of this body by asana and pranayama and pratyahara. Pratyahara also, a devotee automatically does this. What is he accepts what is favorable for bhakti, his own bhakti bhav, and he rejects what is unfavorable for his bhakti bhav. So it's called pratyahara. Restrain your senses, restrain your mind. Then dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. How is this accomplished in Kali Yuga? Is by sankirtan, by nam, by chanting the holy names of Krishna. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi is attained. So when we are doing this dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, samadhi is the very highest stage. At least we start with dharana. So when we are chanting, we can actually look at the deity form of the Lord and chant. If we are, that's how we connect, because Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Radha Krishna. The name has the form of Radha Krishna. So to reveal that, actually, the best way is to we have to first purify our mind. How do we purify our mind? By doing regular deity worship, by understanding that Radha Krishna are the personification of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a sound vibration, when it has a form, that form is Radha Krishna. Okay, so a sadhaka to purify his own mind, they can actually look at the deities and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They can start with looking at the lotus feet of Krishna and chant. And Lord Kapila said that to be free from material contamination, we have to meditate on Lord Krishna's lotus feet for a very long time. So it is very nice to actually meditate on Lord Krishna's lotus feet, who has so many symbols on his lotus feet. And in that way, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna, all the material contaminations will be gone very quickly. It's very important that we connect the Naam with Rupa, with our Ishtadev. Who is our Ishtadev? Our Ishtadev is Radha Krishna, Radha and Krishna. That is what our Guru, our Acharyas have given to us. Srila Prabhupada has come to give us Radha Krishna. That is our good fortune. It is very rare for even for great sages to attain that. In previous kalpa, when Ramachandra appeared, he was in Dandakaranya. So there, and he was helping Vishwamitra. At that time, sages who were doing yagnas, they were so pleased how Ramachandra protected their sadhana by all the yagnas and everything from all the demons. And at the end of the yagnas, Sankalpa, they blessed Ramachandra. And when they had darshan of Ramachandra, they got attracted to Ramachandra, Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ram is so beautiful that even the sages who are fully Naishtika brahmacharis, who are fully controlled in the senses, they were attracted to the form of the Lord. It is amazing, because that implies that the form of the Lord is transcendental. And not only that, not only attraction, they actually wanted to have Ramachandra as their husband. So first of all, they are sages and they're fully controlled, and they're attracted to Lord Ram, and they also wanted him as their husband. And Lord Ram knew, since he's a Paramatma in everybody's heart, he knew the desire of the sages of Dandakaranya. And he said that in due course, your desire will be fulfilled when I appear as Lord Krishna. So when Lord Krishna appeared, the same sages of Dandakaranya, they took birth in Vrindavan from the womb of gopis, and they also became gopis. In that way, they associated with Krishna himself, and after that, they went into Aprakat Leela. So before that, actually, Narad Muni gives them mantra to chant how to attain Krishna's lotus feet. He gives them Gopal mantra, and they are just meditating on the form of Lord, and they're chanting Gopal mantra for one kalpa, actually, not for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. For billions of years, they were chanting that. And eventually they attained the lotus feet of Krishna in Vrindavan. So attaining the lotus feet of Krishna in Vrindavan is not at all easy. In fact, many don't even know that realm. But by unknown mercy, we are so fortunate that we have this. We have this by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. That is a most precious thing. It's invaluable thing that we have, which is worshipping Radha Krishna, which is very rare, even for sages like Dandaka. Even not only sages of Dandakaranya, even the Vedas personified, Shrutis and Smritis and Upanishads, they are also trying to glorify Krishna in Vrindavan, but they were not able to glorify because they don't have complete access to Vrindavan. And they are begging that they become the servants of the Brajvasis. And they also eventually appeared as gopis in Vrindavan after prolonged tapasya. And they attained lotus feet of Krishna in Vrindavan. In that way, they fulfilled their desire. And what to speak of Vedas, even goddess Lakshmi Devi herself, when she heard the description of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna, she wanted to see Krishna. And even till date, she is in Vrindavan doing tapasya to attain Krishna. Till date, in Bilvavan, there's a temple. If you go to Bilvavan in Vrindavan, it's across the Yamuna. It's a Bilvavan, it's a forest. And there, Lakshmi Devi is doing tapasya to attain Krishna's lotus feet. And even Anantadev, is also doing tapasya in Vrindavan to attain Krishna's lotus feet. So it is very, very rare. It is durlabha. Even Narada, Lord Shiva, everybody. So somehow we got this mercy, and where we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, looking at the deities. And here, a devotee can meditate slowly, lotus feet, knees, thighs, navel, chest, neck, face, smile, and forehead, and peacock feather. Step by step, you can meditate on Lord Hari when you're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Actually, it should not be forced, the meditation. If it's forced, that means mind is not in controlled. So mind is disturbed. So first of all, mind has to be purified. So for that, you need to see, you need to regulate your life. And main thing, when you chant, you focus on the vibration of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Eventually, when the mind is completely controlled, we enter into the meditation of dhyana of form of the Lord. So it has to happen naturally. It should not be forced in any way. Forcing means you have to force to hear the vibration. That's the first step. Prabhupada says in Gita, in the purport in 18th chapter, that we have to force ourselves to hear the vibration of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's all. We should not force to meditate on Roop, Gun, Leela, and Parikar and Dham. The first thing should be forced, but rest of the things should be natural. Why the first thing should be forced? Because we are so contaminated that we need to focus our mind on the vibration of the holy name. And eventually, when the mind is purified and focused, it naturally should go to the form and the qualities and the leelas of the Lord. Right? In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami has clearly described all these things, the glories of the name and the qualities of Krishna and his pastimes. Eventually, his leelas filled with rasa. Yes, everything is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It has to be natural. Only the first thing has to be forced if the mind is disturbed. Okay, what is that? Which is focusing on the vibration of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, so once the mind is little stable in the sense there are no vrittis, there are no what is that? Samskaras hitting each other. It's like it is like as an example, like where a television is there and the changing of channel, that button is damaged, and it keep on changing the channels from one channel to another channel. So mind should not hop like that. It should just focus on one channel, which is what? Hearing the vibration of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And naturally it has to progress into Roop, Gun and Leela. Okay, and but we are born ignorant. How do we know about Roop, Gun and Leela? We should not imagine Roop, Gun and Leela. So how do we get this Roop, Gun and Leela information? From scriptures, from Bhagavatam, from Goswami literature. We get the information about Roop, Gun and Leela. And in fact, when you go to temple, you see form of Krishna. You can see form of Krishna at your own home. So then we slowly meditate. And here, this particular verse is talking about the smile. So what is a benediction when we meditate on the smile of Lord? Lord's smile is very beautiful. When we meditate on the smile and when we feel that, all our grief that is manifested or unmanifested grief, whatever grief is there, everything will get destroyed. All our baggage, you can say, all the negative baggage will be destroyed. In fact, if you compare it's also compared in Padma Puran that the form of Krishna, Rajendran Krishna, Tribhanga Sundara, is compared with all the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1 and 2 are his lotus feet, like that. Canto 3 is knees, 4 is thighs, 6 is navel, 7 is chest, 8 is neck, I think 8 and 9, and Canto 10 is his face, 11 is his forehead, and 12 is his peacock feather. So the face, the smile comes to 10th canto. Face is the 10th canto. And what is smile? Our acharyas have explained that the smile is actually the five, actually face is 10th canto, and the lips of Krishna are the 5 chapters of Rasalila. 5 chapters of Rasalila. And the smile of Krishna is Rasalila. And his nose and his eyebrows, everything together, combined, they're so beautiful that they destroy the propensity to enjoy the senses. Like he had mentioned that it charms the sex god for the good of the sages or devotees. So whoever hears the 10th canto from pure devotee, from bona fide, in disciplic succession, their enjoyment, sex enjoyment will end right away. Right away. It has to be heard properly, humbly, faithfully, and with pure heart. As in what mood? In the mood of Jivara Swarupoy Krishnera Nityadas. In that mood, when we hear, at once it will stop. It will stop. And it will protect the devotees. That's why it's so important to read Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 1 and to culminate in Canto 10. And ultimately you end with Canto 12, where it's mentioned that Nam Sankirtan is cure for everything. Okay. So I will pause here. If anybody have any questions or anything. This is very loaded section here. There are so many things. I would recommend to read it. Everything we cannot cover that in half an hour. Because here Lord Kapila is mainly explaining about meditation on Paramatma, but it is also applicable for as devotees to meditate on Krishna and Vrindavan. Yeah, because this is Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga. It's being mentioned here. Yeah, but why it is mentioned in Bhagavatam? It is mentioned in Bhagavatam because this is all Sambandha Gyan. How the absolute truth is realized in 3 forms. What is that? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Okay, so it's a gradation actually. But when we realize Bhagavan, the realization of Brahman and Paramatma is already there. So when we do pure bhakti to Krishna, this section which is explained by Lord Kapila is already covered in it. You don't have to endeavor specially, because this is in yogis in Sakti Yoga. They endeavor a lot how to control senses, how to do austerity, how to live in forest, eat frugally. So it was not so that easy. At least for us, definitely it's not easy because we are living in Kali Yuga. For us, the most easiest process is to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly. And in that way, all these things are automatically performed. And the benefits that we get by performing all these things will come by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Sankirtan. Because when we loudly chant, our mind and our senses, they become absorbed in the vibration of the holy names. From there, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the rest of the things will naturally manifest. If it cleaning has to happen, the cleaning will happen, or it has to go to the next phase of Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti. All these things will happen naturally. So it's very important to know all these things, because it will actually glorify the pure bhakti, which is Harinam Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan. And when we do Nam Sankirtan, all the 9 angas of bhakti are performed. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam, Achanam, everything. Everything is performed by doing Nam Sankirtan.